Sony's CEO has cashed out millions of dollars in company stock just days after the PlayStation maker announced it's abandoning physical game discs. Welcome to Inside Games Daily, the only gaming news show brave enough to say maybe the CEO knows something we don't.
It is never a great sign when that happens. This feels Enron-ish almost, to throw out a very old reference. But yeah, so this comes from Insider Gaming, which found a filing with the U.S. Securities and Exchange Commission that shows CEO Hiroki Totoki sold 225,000 shares of company stock on July 3rd, now at $21.02 a share. The sale was worth about $4.7 million. That was roughly 56% of his holdings in the company. So a very nice chunk of change for the CEO.
That's a large sale of stock too. 56% of the holdings. That seems like a lot. Really weird. He wasn't the only executive to cash out. Sony Chief Strategy Officer Toshimoto Mitomo also sold stock on July 3rd, unloading 25,000 shares at the same $21.02 price. The sale totaled about $525,500 and represented around 18% of his stake.
Yeah, and obviously the dates are important here because the stock sales came just 2 days after Sony announced that it would end production of physical PlayStation discs beginning in January of 2028. And that sparked strong reaction from fans, to say the least.
Yeah, a change.org petition called Don't Kill the Disc has collected more than 224,000 signatures as people continue to try and make their displeasure felt by Sony. And that's in addition to the thousands and thousands of comments on the internet, Twitter, on Reddit, on Blue Sky, all over everywhere about how much they hate this.
Yeah, and GameSpot ran an editorial very recently titled, "There is no reason to buy another PlayStation or Xbox." And I've seen chatter like that really all over the internet. People are like, well, I'm not going to buy another console. What's the point?
Yep. And the criticism over Sony's digital shift grew louder over the weekend after players noticed that PlayStation's European terms of service allows Sony to delete all your digital games after 3 years of inactivity.
Yeah, this is wild. The terms state that accounts inactive for at least 36 months may be closed after 6 months' notice. Under those same terms, once an account's closed, users lose access to their purchased digital games and other digital products tied to that account. Gee, I wonder why people are so mad that we're getting rid of physical. It's a big mystery.
That is a big mystery. You're right. I don't know. I can't figure it out. And speaking of Europe, Sony continues to face scrutiny over its digital business there. Last year, a Dutch consumer group filed a collective lawsuit alleging PlayStation owners in the Netherlands pay artificially high prices for digital games.
Yet their claim was crazy that consumers pay an average of 47% more for digital games compared to physical copies, and they argued Sony is using its market position to limit competition and push players toward digital-only purchases. And this was last year that they said this. They were 100% on the money.
These lawsuits roll in almost once a year now at this point. We've been reporting on these for a while here on Inside Games, and actually Sony is also fighting a separate ongoing lawsuit in the UK over the 30% commission it takes on digital PlayStation Store sales. So those all sort of add up to say that PlayStation is doing a digital monopoly. And wouldn't you know it, they're getting rid of physical discs, Brian? It seems like they might be doing a digital monopoly. I'm not sure.
If that's the only place that you can get PlayStation games, that's a monopoly. Like, I don't know what, like, if you compare it, if you just change it to a horse and buggy company, that's what the founders had intended when they wrote, I don't know, anti-monopoly laws. Not the founders, but you know what I mean. Despite all this backlash, Sony stock is doing great. I checked earlier today, shares were $21.20 per share. Those guys should have really held off. They could have made more money. But that is up 6% roughly since their big announcement. So there you go. It does feel like sometimes you're just shouting into the wind, and that's a huge bummer about their stock price going up.
Yeah, this is really interesting because we rattled off a bunch of crazy Sony stories that are all really bad, and I'm going to go through them again because they're really important. It's really important stuff. And because I wanted to talk about the selling of the stock, the CEO selling stock. Now, normally generally what happens is like CEOs selling stock, there's like a schedule to it. Usually they'll like, occasionally sell stock every 2 or 3 times a year, and it'll be at certain times. This does not feel like that. I haven't gone and looked to see if he normally sells 50% of his holdings. That seems like a lot. And also the fact that, like you said, the stock is up, so they're going to make money on it. And this is a very big warning bell for me, that I'm like, does this mean that Hiroki Totoki is retiring? Is he trying to get out as fast as possible? 50% of his holdings is a lot.
Yeah, it's that feels not. Yeah, because you're right. They'll have it in their contract sometime if the stock hits X number of dollars, like there's like an automatic sale. This does not feel automatic at all, especially since the chief strategy officer also unloaded a lot of his share of Sony. It feels like, to me, that feels like a panic move or a worry that this is all going to go badly, or the stock is going to go down. So I sure hope people are looking into that, because to me that if the head of the company is sort of, waving at you from a lifeboat that's slowly disappearing into the distance, that's not great.
Yeah, and it's so strange too, because you'd think that Sony would be doubling down on the fact that they're going all digital, right? Their stock price went up. So for their shareholders, which, by the way, they don't give a fuck about us. They care only about their shareholders. So for their shareholders, that looks great. The stock went up, which means they made the right decision on going all digital. And that's all they really care about. I'm sure they're seeing all the talk on the internet and the change.org petition. But again, they don't care. If the stock goes down, then they will really, really care. But for right now, they don't care.
This feels like a penny wise, pound foolish move. Like, great for the short term. Oh, our stock goes up 6%. That's huge. That's great. But I feel like you're not taking into account reputational damage and a lot of things. And I think those things are very hard to get back. And I just feel like this, there's angry people online, but sometimes these things grow and get out of control, and you have no idea kind of what the fallout is going to be, because we're right in the early stage. But who knows in a year from now? I
don't know if you saw their most recent tweet about the joystick that they were releasing.
Yes,
but they're like, they hadn't tweeted for like 5 days or whatever after the announcement of getting rid of physical. And then they tweet about their new joystick, and it's just, thousands of replies being like, "Bring back physical. Where's our actual discs?" It's getting really bad, and like you said, there's reputational damage. But I can't figure out what it is about these guys. Sony is a massive company and has been around for years, and they still don't understand the damage they can do long term versus the short term upswing. I can't figure out. Like, to me, it just again, and I say this a lot on Inside Games, but to me, this feels like just the executives are only looking short term. They're going to make their money and leave in 3 years. Like, that's like, it is only good for 10 people in Sony, and then the thousands of employees there all suffer.
Yeah, and I just feel like would it have been that hard to just put out some physical copies? Like, I know there's some expense there, but I feel like even maybe you scale it down a little bit, but just so it's an option, to me that could have solved this whole thing, because I think most people understand, and you see the numbers. We know we've all been playing games. We know it's shifting more to digital. You look at how great Steam is doing, but like, I don't know. It does just feel like a complete power grab to be like, no, we're going to have all the control. And, for those of us like in the US, there's no protections for us if we accidentally buy a game. There's no, a refund window or anything like that. So it's just, you're just screwed. You're just completely at their mercy. It kills the resale market. I think, I don't know. When I was a kid, I didn't have a lot of money for games. Like, trading with my friends was a huge way to play new games. I think it's being really shitty to their customers in ways that they have not fully, I think, thought through, but I think that will become abundantly clear.
Yeah, it is really interesting. If you watch Inside Games for any amount of time, and over the last like 3.5 years, I have been raising the alarm about Sony for a very long time, saying that they're nickel and diming, and I've been seeing them getting sued for monopoly over and over, just over the past couple of years. And the more that I read those lawsuits and the more that I reported on this stuff, the more I was like, this does not seem good. They really are going the wrong way of the consumer. They don't. This is it. It feels like they don't are not really like feels like they've forgotten all about us. And I'm barely a Sony consumer. Like I will occasionally buy a game on PlayStation or whatever, and I have a PlayStation. But like generally speaking, it feels like they've forgotten all about the people that are actually buying games on their platform. And this is just full-on war against you, the consumer. All of this is like all bad. There is no silver lining, and I'm hoping that maybe they have finally overstepped, and possibly they are going to scale back on one or two of these things. That would be really nice. I would like to see them actually come out and be like, well, you know what? We actually did hear you. We'll produce physical discs or whatever. But I don't know until they realize they're losing money. That's the real, actual rubber meets the road time, is when their profits go down and they go, okay, all right, physical discs are coming back.
And even if they lose money, like say, you know, if they take a hit, who's going to suffer? The people in the trenches. Some artist at Naughty Dog who's going to get laid off because they made a terrible bet up top. Meanwhile, you see the CEO cashing out. Like it just, you're right, there's no winning. And I just think to act like this isn't the 80s anymore. There's more than one or two options to play video games. Like if PlayStation gets all high and mighty, people are like, cool, I'm just gonna play my Switch, or I'm just gonna get into PC gaming, or my Xbox. Like there's a million things. You can play games on a toaster practically now. So like I think it's just the height of arrogance to try this in 2026 and insane.
That's exactly right, Brian. I was trying to look for that phrase. The height of arrogance. That's it. That's the way. And it makes me so upset. It makes me so angry. Thank you very much for watching Inside Games Daily. Lawrence is off actually doing some secret video game stuff right now. He's doing something somewhere else, so that's why he's not on the show. But I'm positive if he were on the show, he'd also be very upset. And thank you very much for subscribing to the channel on YouTube. Hopefully you do. Tell your friends about Inside Games. And we have a Patreon. If you want to support the Patreon, we get to make more content every single day because of that Patreon. And if you don't, that's okay too. Enjoy our videos and have a fantastic day. Hopefully, maybe you're not buying Sony products.